Right, here we go on trying to get through a grade 4 piece called Baked Potato. What you need to look at first of all is the introduction. When you hear the backing track, it will count you in. 1, 2, 1, 2. You've then got your fill. If you think of the fruits, the rhythms cherry, coconut create that rhythm. It's only over 2 drums. The lower dot is the snare drum, the higher dot is a high tom-tom. So it goes 1, 2. That fill, or part of it, happens again halfway through the middle line. You're just at the end of the second bar, again exactly the same goes. So if I go from the start, go 1, 2. So that's now linking into the first bar. What this piece uses a lot of is what we call syncopated bass drum. That's where the bass drum goes in between the hi-hat. If you're not sure, just slow it right down. So roughly we'll start with a standard rock 4. And now here, 4 taps on the hi-hat, but the bass drum goes in between the second and the third. Bass, tap, snare, tap. So that's going to happen 1, 2, 3. 3 times in the first 2 lines. On the 4th line, I tell a lie, I apologise for that. On the 3rd line, on the 2nd bar, you've got another syncopated bass drum, but it's a double one. So the way to practice that is first of all give yourself 2 taps, do that again with the bass drum in between, and then add the second bass drum. So that bar, which is the 2nd bar on line 3, would start like that. So I now do the full bar, listen for that double syncopated bass drum again, and therefore that now takes care of the rhythms for the first 3 lines. The other thing is, it now says fill with 2 diagonal lines. You can create any fill of your choice really. Put 2 fruit together, it could be cherry, coconut, hillbilly, whatever you wish. However, can't even say that now. However, one that I do like is if you think of the name of the piece, Baked Potato, and do 1 hit on each drum, that fits beautifully. The music then repeats back to the $sign on the top line. So that's where the rhythm starts after the fill. So I'm now going to play the first 3 lines twice. I'm going to put my metronome to 116 because that's the speed of the piece, and here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. And they go. Be careful of the 2 taps on the 2nd bar on line 2 where it goes. Just a bit of care and you'll be fine with that. Now line 4, we're going to move on to the Ride Cymbal. Yes, it starts with a crash if you look carefully at the X's. We've again got the syncopated bass drum, but what they're mostly doing in this section is moving the snare drum across 1 hit. It will feel awkward at first. So if you deal with the first bar on line 4, I'm just going to stay on the ride for the moment. It goes. You hear that at the end? Bass, tap, tap, snare. So if I now play all of line 4, I'll put the crash in because it's there. And those 2 bars set the theme for the whole of this section up to the excuse me, I apologise for that. The whole of this section up to the end of line 2, page 2. Yet again, if you look at the 2nd line up on page 1, you got another fill, cherry, coconut, very, very similar to the beginning, rhythmically the same, just that the drums, the cherry is on the snare drum, and then the coconut is over 3 drums from the snare to the high tom to the floor. So it goes. Look at the music again and you'll see it is followed by a crash. So I'm just going to talk you through first line 2, page 2, and it starts with a standard rock 4. Hit the double bass in there, both with a cymbal, and then that's going to follow with 2 16ths on the snare drum, apple crash, snare crash, bass flam. In the middle you can see 2 X's, but they're joined with a curved line. That's called a tie. Don't do the second of those hits. So in that bar there are actually only 2 cymbal crashes and not 3. So that last bar again goes. And if I put the 2 bars together, and you can hear again the nice flam as you've done the exercises where you've got the vertical stroke, create that sound. So I'll now play you all the way from line 4 on page 2. So this is all the ride section. And that deals with that section there. Now the next 4 lines, you've got 2 bars printed, and it's very similar to what you've just done, but it's on the hi-hat. Goes like this. In the short term, those 2 bars can be played 8 times. Ideally, you could develop it and put little extras in. This all depends how confident you are. But I suggest for the moment, keep it basic and make it work. So you're going to play those 2 bars 8 times. This is where it says keyboard solo. So I just play it twice so you get the feel of it. And so on and so on. That takes you down to where it says DS al coda, del segno al coda. What that means in English, instead of musical terms, is you're going to go back to the $sign near the beginning of the piece, and you're going to play down those 3 lines until it says to coda. So you're going to repeat that opening section again. When it says to coda, you then cut to the end of the piece, which is the last 2 lines on page 2. This is still on hi-hat, and again we've got the syncopated bass going in. So I'll deal with the first 2 bars of the coda. Bass tap, snare, crash, bass, snare, tap, bass, bass, snare. Again, you've got the curved line which will tie the crash to the previous note, so you don't play anything on the first beat of that second bar. I'll do that again for you. Now the next bit, excuse me, don't worry, I'm not dying. Fairly straightforward. There is an open hi-hat in there. It's an old way of writing open hi-hat, but it is still there. So it starts in with a standard rock. And then at that point it says fill. You can do anything you wish. Something simple. Silly Billy Coconut. And by doing that, my hands are leading round, finishing on the floor tom-tom, which makes it ready for the last bar, because the last bar is all together. Bass drum, snare drum and floor tom-tom. 1 and 3. So that last line now goes. I'll now play all of the coda. And the only thing now is to play the whole piece with the backing track. So here we go.
Baked potato. 1, 2, 1, 2.
There you go, as straightforward as that. Try and practice each section at a time and look at the links between the sections before you try putting the full piece together. Otherwise, have fun trying that one. Bye.